Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, I'm joined by Alice Mensch, founder of LedgerMax Growth Advisors. After decades in operations and finance, including years as COO at Wayfinder, she launched LedgerMax to help businesses owners gain clarity and control over their numbers. Alice, it's great to have you on today.
Thanks, Noah. Thank you for having me. This is very
Of
nice.
course.
Thank you.
Of course. So let's dive right in. If you could tell us a little bit about your background and, how you came to launch LedgerMax and everything along the way.
Right. So a little bit of a winding story. I started out as actually a designer, a product designer, and made my living drawing for years, actually. That sounds crazy. And through that, I started really sort of kind of getting into marketing a little bit. I went to work for a bike manufacturer. And actually started working with their sales team and, sort of moving into more of the business aspect rather than just the design aspect. Kind of just sort of worked my way into marketing. Eventually, I was in Chicago for a long time. I'm from Miami, so I moved back to Miami, and there's not a lot of product design down there, but um, web development is a sort of a sister to product development, so product design. So I started working in web development and started a firm down there. It's really sort of from the design side to start, but then found myself having to actually build and run the business, and that's where I sort of started cutting my teeth, you know, building and running businesses. I've had a couple of other businesses in between, and sold one. So just that experience of I kind of can't come at being I was I was the COO of the business. I kind of come at that just from the ground up. So just kind of working my way into it. But there's a lot of applicability from product development to running a business. So anyway, so just sort of worked my way into that and did that for a while. And then after I stopped running Wayfinder, I sold that business to my ex-husband. After I did that, it was sort of a natural to go into sort of bookkeeping and, helping people run their own businesses. So that's sort of how I came to that. And while I was running Wayfinder, it was a successful business. And while I was doing that, I had time to help people sort of start or build a business. I did sort of some of that just on the side I like that. I like doing that. So just, I had that kind of experience doing that, with people, and very gratifying to see help people start and grow businesses. A couple of people, one lady actually helped her, move into her own location. It was really nice, so she started working from somebody else and moved. And then I'm like, why are you doing this? And I helped her just all the nuts and bolts. And I was a client of hers too, but it is very rewarding for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess when you first launched LedgerMax, were there any, challenges or early hurdles that maybe you weren't expecting, or did everything kind of run smoothly in the beginning?
Well, I mean, like I said, this is not the first business I've started. So I had applied all of that past knowledge, my product development knowledge, my, just starting and running those sort of other businesses. So, I mean, I would say that it was fun because it was like it was a new project. I get to do this now. And, I like to help people run their businesses. So, I mean, for me, I guess, I'm at a stage in my career where I'm putting all the things that I learned before into this. You know what I mean? So to me, it's like a fun puzzle to solve. It's building it, and there's always new challenges. I mean, did the website myself. I hired people overseas and, just did a WordPress site myself. So that was some challenges because, it took a little longer than I wanted and things like that. But really it's more, let's every day look at what we're doing. We have, projections of, where we want to go with it. And, what are we doing every day to get those things done? So, and there's always new challenges. There's, new things to tackle, new avenues of things to explore, whatever way that is within the business. So it's been rewarding, I have to say, really rewarding and fun actually to do this. So, and I'm, very lucky. I was at a conference last year. Actually, I'll be there next week, Scaling New Heights. And I met my business partner there last year, and she's fantastic. So, and that's been really rewarding too. Having a business partner, having somebody that I'm responsible to, she's responsible to me. We work very well together. She has skills that I don't have. And it's great to be able to rely on someone who, not only an amazing and a an accountant in her own right. She's an MS in accounting. She's fantastic. But I mean, she's bringing skills to the table that I don't have. It's just, again, is another fun dimension to all of this. I mean, it's, to me, it's not really like work. It's building something, like building a house or building a product, or designing and developing a product. Look, the website got done. Like, I have to do some more work on it now. But like, oh, now we have this. So it's putting those pieces and parts. And now I'm having a great time with like automations. Starting to look at those things. Using AI. I used AI a lot to build this business. Actually, that's probably it went so quickly because of AI.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. It's
yeah.
nice having someone in your corner and that,
Oh, we have each other's
only
back.
relying on yourself.
Yeah,
Exactly.
no, we
It's
have
a
each
nice
other's
feeling.
back. And it's also, she says to me all the time, she says, it's somebody to sound off. No proposal goes out, obviously, without, us discussing it. And she brings her sensibilities and her experience. She's got 25, almost 30 years accounting, like deep accounting experience. And I come more from the CFO side. So, I mean, when I was like, this is powerful, like not only can we get,
Combination of those skill
yeah,
sets.
I
Yeah.
mean, not only can we get a lot of bookkeepers out there, I probably shouldn't say things like this, but a lot of bookkeepers out there, they really just know how to use QuickBooks, I mean, we do actual accounting. We, accrual, deferral, accounting, inventory, cost of goods, whatever that is, ABC accounting. And, we can do all that. We do accounting for people who are working with the government. And that's a very specialized type of accounting. So, bringing those skills together, she has some of those skills that I don't have. However, I have some skills, again, helping people start their businesses, running businesses. I have the marketing and design background, which is great, right? Because I developed the logo myself, actually. So we did have somebody help us with branding, but I finalized the logo. I went into Illustrator and did it myself, which again was fun for me because I get to use my design background, my marketing skills, and look at the baby we made,
You just gotta
And now we're
highlight your
just
own skills.
yeah, we're nurturing the baby now. We're nurturing it. Our website only went up February 1st. So we've only really, we signed an agreement late last year, November, and then it's the holidays. You know how that is. So we really pretty quickly, we were able to, and I complain about the website taking forever. It didn't take that long. As you can see, for me, I'm like, hurry up. But, so it's like, yeah, it's like putting together a complex puzzle, and I'm not sure what the picture is going to be, but it'll be something, hopefully,
Yeah. The thing is, when you
rewarding.
have exactly, and when you have the right minds and the right tools, you don't need years and years and years to build a business. It really can move
Well,
swiftly.
if you think about it, we've been building this business for a long time, right? Because we're both bringing to bear our 25, almost 30 years. Yeah, 30 years of experience each. I mean, we're no spring chickens. It's funny. She and I are exactly the same age too. It's so funny. So we even had the same music taste, and she's from a completely different part of the country, completely different background, but we have the same music taste. We have, you know what I mean? All that Gen X stuff. So
And to be
you're like Gen Xer. So this has been a lot of fun, and we've got our first clients, and I just feel that hope, knock on wood, that it's going to build. And we both have other things going on as well, right? So in life, you build other things. So this is not our only source, but I mean, we want it to be a main one, obviously, but it's sort of at this point doing this because we're able, combination of a career. You know what I mean? Like you're getting up and, like this is, so sort of our, not last act, I wouldn't say it like that, but we're both bringing all those things to bear for LedgerMax. So
and you guys have the experience for it, and so why not at that point in your careers do something like this?
well, why work for anybody else too, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm
Once you
saying,
work for
right?
yourself, I mean, I haven't worked for anybody else in 25 years. I don't even know if I could, I don't think I could do it.
That switch
I'd
back would
probably
be,
last a
yeah.
day in an office, maybe a week, no, I mean, I have to do, it has to be my own at this point. I manage it all, I prefer to manage everything.
So Alice, I guess what are some of the most common financial mistakes that you see when you're serving your clients, and what is your guys' approach to, I guess, resolving them?
So I think that our people, not all clients, obviously, but not everybody I talk to is client. A lot of the business owners I talk to, mostly small business owners, right? some medium sized. It runs the gamut. Some of them, they don't even want to think about their books. They don't want to look at them. Maybe they don't even have a set of books. They have spreadsheet, right? My spreadsheeters, I call them. A lot of people like that. And they kind of look at it as a black box. They don't, they know that they should probably take care of it, but they don't really want to. I mean, not all, you don't meet a lot of people like that. I'm sorry, I apologize. It runs a gamut from that to, I know I really need help, right? But I need a bookkeeper. I'm not sure. I'm hesitant, whatever. So I try and, when you meet people that are like, no, I don't need a bookkeeper, whatever, there's really nothing you can do, right? And a lot of businesses, maybe they're really small and they really could, there's, some pieces of accounting software out there that's fine. I've actually counseled people like, you don't need me yet. You're doing fine with whatever you're doing. I talked to a guy the other day and he was using a little piece of software and he just started, and so I think for a lot of people, it's either I don't really want to deal with it or I know I should deal with it, but I don't want to deal with it. You know what I mean? So, I think it's don't be afraid of using some professional help, right? A lot of people are like, well, I can do it myself. Yeah. How many hours a weekend are you spending on that? Right? Couldn't that be better spent with your children or your partner or your friends hanging out, whatever that is, right? Don't be afraid to at least talk to a bookkeeping or accounting professional. If you really want to, a lot of people think, again, I know it's in my business. I have it in my head. Well, you actually don't. I promise you that when a bookkeeper gets in there, if you have any sort of business that's slightly complex, I mean, when I say slightly complex, like, you've got more than a few customers and you've got ongoing expenses and things that are happening in the background. You don't really know what's happening unless you're looking at it, right? Every time I get into somebody's books, there's something there they're double charging me. I didn't know that was going on, inevitably. And I promise you, I mean, what I see a lot is that the bookkeeping is paid for because it's like, I mean, I had a woman in South Florida when I was working down there and she had several buildings and, she's very profitable, right? I mean, this is Coral Gables, right? It's extremely profitable. She had several buildings. I'm not big, but, these couple of properties. And I'm going through it and I'm like, wait a minute. Your gardener is charging you triple. I mean, that was $1,000 a month. That's nice. That's an extra $12K a year. Right there. I can tell you right now, she wasn't paying me the $12K at that time. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's really kind of for me, for the small business owners, a lot of time, the biggest challenge is they don't want to look under the hood because they think it's scary, but it's not. It's actually going to help you. So don't be scared. And even if you want to get someone, if you're really, really small, just get someone once a quarter, or whatever that is. And then as you're growing, please get someone to help you, because you're going to miss things. And a good bookkeeper can advise you. They can advise you on how to structure your books so that your reports come out so that you can make decisions, right? I always say my little pitch is, a great client for me is someone who wants to move from compliance to growth.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I like that you say that because I feel like a lot of small business owners, a lot of the ones I speak with as well, they think they could do it all themselves and they kind of look at the accounting,
Yeah.
bookkeeping side of things as
They've
kind of
got
like
it
an
up here
afterthought.
and it's what's in the bank, but that's
Exactly.
not it. And, I actually talked to a guy yesterday. We do accounting for, amongst other things, right? Accounting is accounting is accounting. It's just what is the quirks of that organization, right? Oh, they have inventory. Okay, there's a different kind of accounting we're going to do there, right? Oh, they are a construction company. Okay, well, let's do some project costing and, project-based accounting, right? It just, they don't need inventory. You know what I mean? So just depends on sort of what you're doing. But I was talking to a guy yesterday and he helps people fix their e-commerce stores, run their e-commerce stores. And I was like, well, maybe we have some synergies, right? And his clients don't even have books.
No books?
Yeah, no books. He's like, they just
Wow.
pull reports out of Amazon, which is okay. I guess if you have one Amazon store, But what about all the other expenses and things that you're, dealing with outside of Amazon? Are you capturing that? I guarantee you that every single one of his clients in that case are missing deductions and probably paying higher taxes. So, like I say, there's a gamut out there. And then you meet people who are like, I've got all these entities. I need help. You know what I mean? So it's a gamut.
Absolutely. I guess getting into e-commerce bookkeeping, what's unique about it? And is there a specific approach that you tailor for those sorts of businesses? Are they more complicated than other sorts of businesses? Kind of tell
You
us
know,
a little
I
bit more
wouldn't
about
say
that.
more complicated. It's a lot of it is it's dealing with the accruals and the deferrals and of the transactions and things. It just depends on their setup. Um, and I guess I look at it like I look at it as, like I said, we have clients that are do government work, need contract with the government and need to have those invoices, yeah, right. That's all about the contract and the invoice. It's very particular and everything. It's really, for us, it's really, every client is unique. Yeah, sure, there's repeatable things across them, but I kind of need to look at the setup and what they're doing to, you know what I mean? So, and, with e-commerce, it's a lot of it is the connections and how you're reconciling the whatever that account is against whatever else, right? So and then there's might be some inventory, depending. Sometimes they're holding inventory, sometimes they're not, right? Oh, and then there's sales tax. Okay, so that's the big one, actually, or in my opinion. So sales tax, okay, you're just using Amazon, they're probably paying it for you, but let's check. Oh, but now you have a brick and mortar. Oh, and then you have maybe an Etsy store, right? So, oh, and then you're on that platform over there, and what are they doing? Let's look at the invoice. Again, it's really, I find all client, like those types of clients can be rather unique depending on what their situation is. I don't know
Yeah,
if I
there's a
answered that
huge
question, but
variance.
yeah, that's it. It's the variance, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So kind of just tailoring it for each and every firm.
Right.
So Alice, I'd love to dive into kind of where the world is headed. There's huge changes with everyone's talking about, AI and automation and everything going on with that. What is your take on that? And, how do you see the future of bookkeeping and where this is
Yeah,
all
so
heading?
that's why I'm going to this conference next week, because they have the largest tech in this industry, on that floor. It's rather big. I want to see what these firms are doing with AI. QuickBooks is using a little bit of AI. Now they've got it within their payroll, right? Which is great. It catches, hey, this doesn't look right. This person has maybe have no hours. What's going on? You know what I mean? Whatever that is. No, I think it's going to get better. I think the use of agents is very interesting. Love to see, I would love to see, some software that, I can put my client in and I can train the agent for that client. Cause right, you have to be careful with that's their information. That's their banking. That's private, right? So it has to be, the agent should probably be separate for each client. You just duplicate him, whatever, or whatever, how many agents it takes to deal with that client. But I mean, I don't see why I want to incorporate in my firm, the basic bookkeeping should be done by AI. We should be able to train that AI, that agent, on the quirks of that client. So if that transaction for, is sort of a simple one, if that transaction for, let's say, well, here's a simple one. The cell phone is less than 100, $200, it's one kind of expense. If not, maybe if it's 1,000, somebody bought a cell phone, right? So it should be able to tell the difference between those. Those are two different types of transactions, right? One goes in expenses, one is, you depreciate over a certain amount of time, right? So depending on how you structure it, I'd like to see that happen. And I'm hoping that that's coming. And then then that frees me up, if that frees us up to just confirming the books are correct. Whatever reporting needs to happen can then happen. And then our time is spent advising the client. So I'm really hoping that that's coming very soon. To me, that's the best directly for bookkeeping. That's where I would like to see AI and automation going.
Yeah, so
And of
many
course, the
book.
books will be more expensive, right? But not that much more. And so our services will be more based on, because see, dealing with transactions is time consuming, right? So, whoever's working for us has to do that. And then we have to check. So really, I think you're going to see basic bookkeeping go by the wayside. And then there's, all the other things, of course, you can do with, chat GPT or whatever AI you're using. I use it all the time. I mean, whatever. I'm sure you do too in your workflow of the day.
Yeah, actually, that's our business is we implement AI into firms essentially. And the biggest concern is that, it's going to make us obsolete or all these sorts of concerns and fears. But I don't think firms like yours are going anywhere or accounting firms are going anywhere. My entire family are in the accounting space.
Yeah, you said, yeah.
And so
But the
It's just you
basic
gotta,
bookkeeper is going to go the way of the dodo. I mean, it's just, I
if you're
mean, come on. I
strictly
mean, it's,
bookkeeping, then yes, but
yeah,
like the
somebody sitting
advisory
down and
side,
categorizing your books, it's the most boring thing in the world. I mean, it's not, I don't see it lasting. I don't, those basic accounting tasks are, why? I don't, I mean, to me, it's like, why isn't this out here already? And I think there are some firms out there there are some pieces of software out there doing that. And I'm trying to start to evaluate those. So.
absolutely. I think I agree with that in the sense where simple bookkeeping workflows will probably be automated the same way with
Right.
data entry and a lot of other ones like those.
And
But I think
workflows
that
too. You're right. The work, not just the data entry, but you're right. The workflows.
exactly. And so I think the businesses will stay alive though, because businesses will be using these tools and leveraging them, but the clients are always going to want to go to a business. No one's going to want to go to some website and pay $10 a month to subscribe to some AI. There's no trust there. So you still need that advisory piece of it.
Yeah, that's what it becomes. Yeah, it's the advisory.
Exactly. That's where the
Exactly.
shift is going to.
Yeah,
So
even
that's
if it's
that's
light
where
advisory. I mean, wouldn't that be great? You're a small business owner. We can pop your books into this, so you don't have to pay us, the time to do the books. But hey, the fee goes down, right? But you get like, someone with not the AI, someone helping you, someone advising you, someone talking to you. Hey, look, we see other clients doing this, or we've seen this before. Oh, you need to get a loan? Sure, the AI could probably help you pull everything out of the books, but let's, whatever that is.
exactly. And that's the whole shift is there's gonna be advisors who already are
Yeah,
experienced
I've been
using
talking
AI.
about it. Yeah, I was talking about it for advisory has been going on for a while now, years.
Yeah, 100%. So Alice, a lot of our listeners are, maybe in the beginning stages of building their firms. I guess you're an expert in, building businesses and that sort of thing.
I'm
So
not
what
an
is your
expert. I have some experience and I've been lucky. I've worked hard. No, but yeah, no, I stumble all the time.
what is your advice, I guess, to someone who is starting a business and is kind of just overwhelmed as hell and kind of needs to hear something to keep them going?
Well, let me think. Talk to people, get help, but be careful about where you're spending your money. I wouldn't just hire a business coach like, oh, let me hire a business. Like, make sure who you're hiring. There are some great programs and things out there that can help you get started, but there's a lot of resources. Network and build yourself some goals. So I know that sounds, but even if you don't make that goal, it doesn't matter. You progressed, right? And try not to work in your business too. This is what I just see it all the time. People are so blinders on, they're just focused on, maybe they were, a hairdresser at a salon or whatever. And then they said, well, I'm going to open a salon. It's a completely different thing, right? Because you think you're always just going to stand there in my own salon and do the hair. No, now you need to pay the light bill and make sure the lease is, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's sort of I'm not silly, but I mean, that is an example, so that kind of thing. And the famous one is the baker, right? She loves baking, worked in a bakery for a long time. Now I'm going to own my own bakery. Now you got to worry about, now you got to worry about perishable inventory and, all that other stuff. So, you can do it. Just talk to people. Don't isolate yourself and network, learn. There's a lot of great free resources out there. You can do a lot of it yourself, but talk to a bookkeeper early. Have somebody help you get your book set up so that when you're going, you don't have do cleanups. Cleaning up things later is always very time consuming.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm in the opinion that, stick to your own lane in the sense where do what you're like a lot of business owners are great at what they do and then they try to do everything else themselves, just focus on what you're good at and then hire people who are
Yeah,
good at
a
what
guy
they do.
admitted to me the other day he was spending 8 hours on a Saturday, every Saturday doing his accounting. I think there's other things in there he was doing too. I don't think it was all purely the accounting. But I'm like, wow, I could probably do your books for not too much money. And wouldn't it be great to spend that time looking for clients?
Yeah.
It's an
Or
idea.
enjoying the weekend or doing anything else,
Well,
then
that too, yes, right.
yeah, then
Yeah,
just doing
sure. It'd
that
be nice to go out and, hang out and have a nice weekend too.
for sure. Alice, this was amazing, a very fruitful conversation. Before we wrap, where can the listeners find you if they want to reach out to connect with you or learn a little bit more about the business,
Oh, thank
that
you.
sort of
Yeah.
thing?
So I'm on LinkedIn. Um, you could find me on LinkedIn and I'm on the internet. I'm available. So yeah, if you reach out to me on LinkedIn and I'm always happy, really honestly, always happy to talk to people. I love talking about business. So, and you never know where a connection is going to lead you. I like to connect people too. You just never know. So I'm always open to a conversation for sure.
Absolutely. Well, we'll link everything in the show notes. And to anyone who's listening who is a business owner who needs some financial clarity, I want you guys to all reach out to Alice.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, Noah. This is very nice. I really appreciate your time.
Of course.
So,
Likewise, Alice. It was a pleasure having you on.
thank you.
Thank you, guys.